So yeah, guys, let's take a look on all the new tanks that we got added to the dev server. A quick look on every single tank that got added. We start with the skink, normal skink that we already know and love. Nothing crazy, but yes, the US is now receiving a skink tank, which is pretty cool. It really is pretty cool. And it is a vehicle that I think was necessary in the US Tech 3, right? So I'm not gonna talk too much about it because we already have this tank in the game. But it is pretty cool, isn't it? Die, Panzer 2. But yeah. Then we have the T77, guys. The new AA system based on the Chaffee tank, which is pretty cool. It is a lower VR, it's 3.7. But it is pretty... It has a lot of ammunition, man. Look at this. Jesus, the guy exploded. But 6,000 like rounds of ammunition. It's a lot of ammunition. Of course, tanks, no penetration whatsoever, obviously, from the front. But yeah, it is a pretty interesting tank. It is pretty mobile, okay? It is indeed very, very mobile, as all AA systems should be. But yeah, no real like armor. But to be honest, I mean, it is a 3.7 tank, so it is very low. And because you have so much ammo, and you can have so much ammo and stuff and waste it, basically, you can be very precise with this because you can just like see where your shots are going and adjust your aim, right? So yeah, see, I'm hitting a lot even though I'm at like I don't know how many kilometers. But of course, it's 50 cal, so of course you gotta get a lot of heat sometimes for aircraft. It's pretty mobile, but it feels like a Chaffee, just a normal Chaffee. Very easy tank to kill, but very interesting AA system for the US. And by the way, I know for a fact that the US is receiving more AA systems soon. Not in this patch maybe, but they are planning to add more AA systems to a country that I think needs some AA systems. Then we have the Osa-AKM, guys. This vehicle was added to the Germans, to the Russians, and to the Italians as a Romanian vehicle. And it is an AA system. They are all the same. They are the AKM version. It's a very large vehicle, not a lot of armor, obviously, pretty mobile. And it is the first in the world to be a self-propelled SAM launcher, basically, in the world, if I'm not mistaken. So it is a very, very good vehicle. The wheels turn in a very, very cool way. It is a 10.3 vehicle, so this is the thing that will be hunting the F-117s down, right? It is very, very good. It does have a pretty good radar. Right now, it is has only 20 kilometers, okay? But it is a pretty good radar together with a pretty good missile. That's a weird bug. What? That's a very... Oh my god. I'm inside the tank. We don't have any thermals or anything like that. Of course, you can just fire the missile and aim it to the target. It has a very enormous amount of range, okay? So it is a very good AA system. It really, really is. One of the best AA systems you'll see in these VRs. Probably the best, even. There is a bug there with the thing, so it's kind of hard to detect stuff. But yeah, the target is dead. You can, of course, lock targets as well. This target is really, really close. Let's see if we can get him. No, it needs to be a little bit further away. Yeah, see? The missile is too fast for it. You can lock the target, just aim on the middle, and just wait for the missile to actually hit the target. Very easy kill. Oh, the missile is too fast, man. You gotta be careful, yeah? With short range kills, it's gonna be a little bit harder, okay? So just remember that. Remember to try killing targets that are a little bit further away. 1 to 2 kilometers, you will miss a lot of these targets. But further away targets, see? 7.8 kilometers in a cold aspect shot. He's very slow, but still, let's see if the missile actually hits the target. I think it's good enough for it, but let's see. The radar really does help over here. Remember that the F-117 will basically just hide from these. But yeah, as you see, 9 kilometer shots, cold aspect, very, very easy and very good AA. Like really, really good AA, especially for the Germans and the Italians. They really needed something like this. Of course, the Soviets always can receive something, but they already have a lot. Problem with this thing, I don't know if this is the correct thing to happen. He only has 6 missiles. They are kind of weird in the way that they are placed there, but only 6 missiles for now. I don't think he will receive more. And let me just show the stat card of the missile. Not that it shows anything too different, but yeah, it is the 9M33A3. A lot of power, punching power, very good TNT equivalent, 8 kilograms. It has 24 seconds of guidance time and a 10.3 kilometer range with 25 Gs of overload and almost Mach 2. So it really is a very good AA system. As I said, it is at 10.3 in the German Tech 3. It is at the highest ranks over here, just before the Flak Panzer. The Soviets got their one before the Strela, as you see, and the Italians just before the Otto Magic. The next one is one of my favorites for the ground forces for the dev server right now, the Luchs A2, guys. This is a 7.3 vehicle that can do donuts in a very short period, even though it's pretty big. This is pretty much an IFV, you know, a reconnaissance vehicle, basically. It's not an APC, it's more of an IFV. Yeah, it's an IFV, but it's more of a reconnaissance vehicle in real life. In the game, it will be an IFV, right? It does have a very cool cannon, a 20mm that fires very fast, as you see, and it has 63mm of penetration with the APDS. Of course, it's not gonna penetrate anything from the front, like obviously, right? This is just expected. You don't have a laser. You have this very interesting thermal system. I don't know if it's chosen to be like that or not. Is it? Like, hold up. Yeah, it's because of this. But yeah, you have the thermal system, which is pretty cool. It's like first gen. It's pretty cool. The mobility is pretty great in this thing, and you can do some weird maneuvers with this because it has basically a weight wheel steering. So yeah, it's very nimble, and you can lose the rear very easily because of that. It's very hard to actually drive this thing fast sometimes if you are not careful. It is amphibious, as you see, with the back little things there. We're gonna test it. Look at this. I mean, it just turns. Yeah, it doesn't penetrate anything. That's the main thing, but of course it's 7.3. It's a very low VR. You can kill it in some ways, but it is hard to kill a tank like this with this gun. You can break stuff and etc, but yeah, it doesn't have a lot of ammunition. It's pretty great, but it's not like amazing amounts of ammunition. No, it doesn't penetrate even that plate. So yeah, it's not gonna penetrate anything, but it is pretty interesting. It has an MG3, of course, right up there. Now let's test the amphibious part of this tank. The aim looks amazing, even if I'm not using like ray tracing. Okay, this is taking way too long to start. The buoyancy part, yeah. So as a boat, it is pretty fast actually. For a vehicle this size and stuff, it is pretty interesting. But yeah, look at the size of those propellers back there. So yeah, that's why, right? So very cool vehicle. It does have a stabilizer, I think. I have to check, but I think it does have one. Let me just test with the restart over here. It is going to be one of those vehicles. Honestly, I love this type of vehicle in real life, but in the game, they are kind of sometimes not the greatest thing ever. Having some FPS drops. I need to buy my new GPU. Yeah, so it has an stabilizer, but it's not like the greatest thing ever, I don't think. Oh my god. Yeah, it's okay, but it's nothing like crazy good. Of course, the Luchs doesn't have any armor, so don't expect anything to like not penetrate it, okay? Maybe we don't have stabilization. Maybe it's the tank. I don't think he does have stabilization. I don't know, but still very cool. Now we start to see some very interesting tanks, guys. The premium OBJ140 has an 8.3 BR, if I'm not mistaken, and it is pretty good, guys. It is indeed pretty good. The turret rotation isn't the greatest, but everything else is pretty good. Actually, pretty interesting in this tank. So it has APDS. that can penetrate very well. We do have APC, BC, and all the normal rounds. We do have a rangefinder that it's not laser, but oh my god, that's sensitive. But yeah, it is there, you know, as well, with heat as well, which is pretty cool. You have the KPVT there, which is the 14.5mm, very good gun as well. And yeah, heat is always good. The mobility, I mean, it feels like a T55, T56, T62, T54, you know. The gun isn't the greatest thing ever, okay? It is not. It's a 100mm, you know, it's not a 115, it's not a smooth bore. It's just the evolution of the 100mm that the Russians loved at this time. But at the same time, it is pretty interesting. It has an autoloader, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or a semi-autoloader, or something along those lines. And it is a different tank, you know, at this, like, with the same spice that normal tanks have. It has only night vision, and like I said, it has a normal rangefinder and not a laser rangefinder. So very good tank for a premium. It is a proper premium, you know, at these BRs. It's really, really fun, and I love this type of tank, right? Yeah, it doesn't have composites or anything like that. It's not particularly fast or anything like that, but it is pretty fun to actually play around. The back speed is not as bad as you would think for a Soviet tank. It is like 8 kilometers per hour. Some tanks like this are 5 or 4 or 6, so this is honestly okay. So yeah, very cool tank, very, very cool tank. Of course, the RAM was added to the British, as you see, so nothing too crazy over here, but it is pretty cool. And I forgot to mention that the armor of the 140 is pretty much the same as a T54, just angled differently, you know, but it is the same type of armor, the same type of way over here. Very good turret, but of course heat rounds will penetrate very well. Very, very good 8.3 premium. Then we have another scout tank, the Scimitar, the 7.7 tank that uses a very similar turret from the Fox and a very similar body or chassis from the Stormer. So it's the Stormer, right? I think it's the Stormer. But anyway, very weird vehicle, I gotta say, but it is very, very cool no matter what. Like I said, I love this type of tank, but in the game I prefer to play with like proper tanks, but it's still pretty good. The fire rate, I mean, it's alright. You do have thermals. You don't have any type of range finding system, so you gotta just get used to the bullet drop. But yeah, it is pretty good. It's not gonna penetrate anything from the front. Let's test it out on the side. Oh, that was an interesting shot. Penetrated all right there. That was a very lucky shot. Oh no, actually it's working. That's interesting. Okay. So yeah, very good round. With the APDS, it can penetrate very, very well. And yeah, it's an interesting tank. Of course, it's a scout vehicle. I'm pretty sure it has smoke screens, which is pretty interesting. I don't think it's amphibious. But yeah, very fast, of course. I'm still waiting for the Scorpion. I gotta say, the Scorpion is my vibe on this type of tank, but it is pretty good. It doesn't feel like it has any type of stabilization. Yeah, you can penetrate it in the like very, very little part down there. And of course on the side, let's see. Yeah, on the side you can just kill everything, right? Very, very cool. Japan didn't receive anything, but China received the PLZ-05, probably the most modern artillery piece in the game, I would say. It has some very interesting shells over here. It has a laser rangefinder that can really, really do help. For such a large round, it can actually have a pretty good reload rate. But of course, it's not the greatest thing ever, but for such a large round, it can actually do well. With this laser rangefinder, you can kill a lot of things with this thing, man. With the HE, right? Let's see. Yeah, it just doesn't care. And of course, you have the one with the time fuse as well, or not time fuse, the fuse, as you know. So you can. This is better for tanks that are hidden or something like that. Let's see. It's exploding a little bit upwards. Like, not upwards. Yeah, there you go. Now I managed to hit it. So yeah, for tanks that are hidden and everything. And of course we have the SAP, which is the semi-armor piercing. Very, very weird round. Let's see if it penetrates. Yeah, it didn't penetrate that, but I'm sure that this, it will. Like a T62, it probably will, right? It doesn't penetrate. So it's better to use the HE shells, probably. Let's see. Yeah, it just probably doesn't love, like, you know, sloped stuff. Yeah, it doesn't like sloped stuff, but it is pretty interesting with the other rounds. I think the other ones are pretty good. Has the machine guns, of course, on top. It is a very big tank. Really, really big tank. Not the most mobile thing ever, but it is still pretty fast for such a large vehicle. Turret rotation is pretty problematic, but the good part about it, of course, it doesn't have any armor, but you can get to places. It is a large vehicle, so you have to hide yourself, but with the laser rangefinder, it can actually, you know, do very well shooting targets, right? So you see the armor is non-existent. Any shot here will just explode the tank itself, but it is pretty good, no matter what, you know. It's a very, very interesting thing. 60 millimeters with the time fused shell, and then semi-armor piercings 160. Doesn't penetrate a lot when it's sloped, but yeah. The Italians received the Osa that we talked about it already, so yeah, pretty cool. And then the French, they have the most interesting tanks probably on the terms of capacity, but of course it's a copy-paste. So the Max Verstappen tank is here. We have the 2A4, the 2A5, and the 2A6. Basically the same tanks that we already know and love. The M23 on the 2A4. Thermals, of course, same good old 2A4. With the 2A5, you have the 53, of course. Thermals, everything. And with the 2A6, the 53 as well with the dual gun, right? So very cool tanks, but of course it's just a copy-paste for the tanks that we already have. They are right here, in the middle here, below the AMX, okay? For Sweden, we do have a new tank over here, which is pretty cool. A BMP-2 MD, which is a Finnish vehicle. It doesn't have a lot of armor. It's based off of the BMP, of course. So we will have a very similar penetration and everything. But yeah, very cool tank, actually. The thing about it, of course, the PDS is pretty good. And yeah, thermal vision and everything. It's just a normal BMP, to be honest. Doesn't have a lot of things, but I mean, introduces thermal systems for basically a normal BMP2, and I think laser rangefinder. No, maybe not. No, maybe not. But still, it is pretty cool. Let's test drive this thing. So yeah, very cool. You have the thermals, but you don't have a laser rangefinder, which is pretty alright. The mobility feels like a normal BMP. Rate of fire, same gun basically, right? It is literally the same gun, I think. So it is a very good tank. I love the BMP. You just have to be careful when getting shot at. And from the side, these things are deadly, especially because they have a lot of rate of fire with a very, very powerful... Those FPS drops. Oh my god. I need to get a new GPU, man. My FPS is just dying. Look at this. And it's probably because of my GPU. It's just not optimized or anything like that for my GPU. But yeah, look at this. It's just a very good tank. Very, very interesting. I love this thing already. Now we have a finished one. We have also the Sabra, the last tank that we're going to talk about. It is basically a very heavily modified M60, you know, so it does have the normal layout of armor, as you see, nothing crazy over here, the same tank, but it has these composite screens over here, where they're basically helping a lot of the tank, right? So it is pretty interesting. It is different armor parts. Let's see, no, it doesn't. I don't think it's modeled here, but anyway, it is a very good tank. Let's see how, I mean, this is what, 9.3, so let's get a 9.7. So let's get an US tank, 9.7. XM8, what does this thing shoot? Heat. So yeah, this is where the protection is really good at, these composites. Against heat, you know, this is where it really, really is good. See? Like, even then, you can get killed. It's a normal M60 after all. And the lower glacis over here, it's, as always, very easy. But you have to think that against a more advanced shell like an APFSDS, like a 774 over here, it's gonna penetrate everywhere, right? So if you take a look on the protection map, it's just, yeah, it's very easy to kill. So he does have a lot of armor, but against chemical rounds, RPGs basically, that's the objective, I would say, right? He does have the thermal system, which is pretty good for the gunner. He has the 322, which is an amazing round. It really is one of the best rounds in this BR, especially. He has a very good HE timed fuse as well, which can be used to do some havoc. Heat FS, of course, laser rangefinder. So yeah, let's just test drive it. But it is pretty interesting. This tank is pretty good. It's like a really modernized M60. So it's gonna be an M60, but it is very fun to play it no matter what, right? So let's see. Of course, our thermals, we do have a laser rangefinder, very easy, right? Then we have a HE timed fuse that we can use to shoot in certain parts of the tank to try to kill it. And it works very well if it has ammunition or anything like that close to it, right? So, for example, here, yeah, very easy kills. HEs with time fuse are always really amazing. You gotta hit it in the right place, though. You gotta be a little bit lucky. Yeah, I'm not... Like, hold up. Right here. Come on. No, it's not doing anything. Let's see with that. No, it's not being in the right place. Come on. Yeah, even then it's being protected. But then you have the APFSDS, which is amazing. It really is. Like, look at this. Yeah, it's just it doesn't care because it's going to be the most like highly penetrating round of this BR. You have a lot of smoke screens, a lot. I mean, infinite smoke screens that you can use, which is pretty good. The mobility, it's an M60, nothing crazy. It should be somewhat similar. I think it has a better engine to be able to handle the extra weight, but the mobility itself is very similar to the M60, okay? Still using the L7, right? So yeah, very good tank. It really is an interesting tank, and it makes sense that it's coming after all of those tanks in that line as well. So yeah, guys, basically this is it. I know it's kind of a long video, but showing with a little bit more detail all the new tanks for you to actually properly take a look. Look at that little radio there, very cool. So yeah, these are the new tanks. I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, and bye guys, see ya.